Welcome back. Discussion: Chickie and Bill Bevilaqua decide to murder Dwight Manfredi and divide his Tulsa assets. They both concur that their families deserve what has been developing in Oklahoma under the watchful eye of their enemy because they have been involved in the game for a considerable amount of time. But during their altercation with the general, Bevilaqua murders Chickie rather than Dwight. To gain favor with the former mafia capo, the criminal from Kansas City betrays his comrade and ends the life of his opponent. He is aware that if he sides with the general, he would be rewarded with half of Cal Thresher's assets, which he is entitled to. Chickie might have been at the top of Bevilaqua's list of unreliable acquaintances, and he has enough experience to know who is worthy of his trust. Since he understands the former mafia capo is easier to handle than his New York counterpart, he refrains from taking direct aim at Dwight following Carl Caputo's passing. In contrast to Chickie, he can talk to the general and use reason to make things right. Bevilaqua cannot trust the guy who killed his own father without hesitation because the latter's murder of Pete, the Rock, Invernizzi is now well known. Bevilaqua decides to change sides as a result. He is aware that Dwight is a man of character and principles who is smart enough to reward his deeds. He can't count on Chickie to do the same. The New York Mafia may even pursue Kansas City after he aids its irrational leader in taking over Tulsa, which would put an end to both Bevilaqua's rule and his family's legacy. As Dwight Manfredi and his partners celebrate the growth of their business endeavors, the FBI thoroughly examines the former mafia capo's file. The general's sudden rise in popularity is puzzling, and the uncertainty only grows after his extremely covert arrest. He is then informed by an unidentified individual that Dwight will be employed by them. Although the FBI's sudden meddling may come as a shock, it has been anticipated for a while. The Bureau has been visible on multiple occasions, such as when Bill Bevilaqua chooses to assassinate Dwight after Tyson almost kills his associate. In order to monitor Bevilaqua, the FBI must have at last enlisted Dwight as an informant. The bug in the gangster's office is explained by the Bureau's long-term surveillance of the Kansas City-based criminal. Even though there isn't much information about this covert operation in the second season, its existence makes it clear that Bevilaqua has long been on the FBI's wanted list. The investigators may have thought he was the ideal informant to tell them about the gangster's activities now that Dwight and he had established a significant partnership. The FBI has no need to be concerned about Dwight because he has made all of his business dealings totally legal. With Bevilaqua, that isn't the case. Although the gangster's activities and endeavors have remained unclear, one thing is certain: they are not at all lawful, which is why the agency is monitoring him instead of the former mafia capo. Tulsa King Season 2 Episode 10 opens with Dwight strolling behind Thresher and watching him go about his business. Dwight isn't here to bargain, but Cal wants to be paid decently. He has enough negotiating power because Ming hasn't killed him, but Dwight threatens to put him to death if he breaks the agreement. Although Thresher wants to bargain like a man, Dwight has determined that he can simply take over his entire company now that Ming is no longer there. Dwight cautions that pride would swiftly lead to his death, and since he is involved in the underground, Thresher lacks the skills necessary for this and must abandon the gangster lifestyle for, well, gangsters. He eventually gives in and leaves the 18 acres of weed behind. Dwight is aware that things are changing and is keen that they stop scattering corpses around. He believes that the list of opponents is getting smaller. While this is happening, Vince calls and informs Dwight that he is now in charge, transferring ownership of Donnie's car. Additionally, he alerts Dwight that Chickie is on his way and attempting to negotiate, but Dwight is not amenable. Vince does, however, mention that Chickie will be exterminated if he is unable to persuade Dwight to return. Although Dwight realizes it won't work out, he wipes his hands of it. When Bevilaqua visits Dwight, he requests a share of the business. He thinks he has a legitimate reason to haggle because he assisted in Ming's death and wants a piece of what Dwight has created here. Bevilaqua eventually departs after refusing to compromise on his 50% cut, even if Dwight accepts a 25% cut. The two end their relationship on a shaky note, with a possible argument in the future.